Hi students, welcome back to this channel. In today's episode, we'll explore some more details of the sum of wood and the product woods. In the last episode, we introduced this formula, which helps us easily form a quadratic equation for given woods. Please look that we define alpha and beta as the two woods of the equations, and we name alpha plus beta as sum of wood, and we call alpha beta be the product woods. Episode and the next two, we will explore some properties and applications of these concepts. Quadratic equation ax squared plus bx plus c is 0. The sum of woods is given by letter b over a, while the product of wood is c over a. The diagram below illustrates the proof of these formulas. To solve the quadratic equations, we try to use the quadratic formula, which uses these two woods, s1 and s2. S1 and s2 correspond to alpha and beta because we define alpha and beta as the woods of the equations. We will review the steps involved in simplifying the expressions for the sum of wood and the product woods. Okay, the sum of woods, they have the same denominator. Okay, so we combine the two fractions, and we can see that we can cancel the square root, and then letter 2b over 2a is letter b over a. Okay, so we have the first formula proof, and then we consider the product of them. The product of the denominator is 4a squared. The product of the numerator, please look that we can use the formula. Is the form a plus b times a minus b. Okay, the first term is letter b, and the second term is the square root things. Okay, so we can use this formula is a squared minus b squared, so it becomes letter b squared and then minus the square of the square root. Okay, so this one go down to b squared, and then square root cancel with the square. Okay, so minus b squared plus 4ac. Okay, because there's a letter sign before the brackets, so plus 4ac. B squared minus b squared is cancelled, so 4ac over 4a squared. So the answer is c over a. So we have the second formula proof. Some examples, we recite the sum of wood and product wood one more time. Okay, the first two questions find the sum of woods and the product woods of the following equations. We just simply use the formula to get the answer. Okay, the sum of woods is equal to negative 5 over negative 1. B is 5, A is negative 1. Okay, so we have the sum of woods is 5, and the product woods is c over a, so 6 over negative 1, so the answer is negative 6. Okay, look that we need to write the sum of wood and the product wood rather than alpha plus beta and alpha beta. Want to use alpha and beta, you need to define them in the beginning. Okay, second question, 2 minus x squared is equal to 4x plus 9. We need to rearrange the equation, so we have ABC. Okay, so move everything to the right hand side. X squared plus 4x plus 7 is 0. Okay, so we have A is equal to 1, B is 4, and C is 7. Okay, so the sum of wood is negative 4 over 1, and then the product of woods is 7 over 1. So it is 7. Question 3. If the sum of roots of the equation, this equation, is 2, sum of roots is 2, where k is not equal to 0, we need to find two things. In part A, we need to find the value of k, and part B, the product of roots. Okay, for this equation, kx squared minus ss plus k minus 1 is 0. Okay, please look that A is k, B is negative 8, is the whole thing not attached to ns. Okay, so C is k minus 1. Okay, the question says the sum of roots is 2. Okay, so we can use this formula. Letter B over A is sum of root, which is 2. So letter B over A is 2. Letter B over A is 2. Okay, so 2k is 8. So k is 4. Okay, now we can update the equations. The equations becomes 4x squared minus ss plus 3 is 0. Okay, the equation. In part B, we need to know the product of root. Okay, the product of root, according to the formula, the product of root should be equal to C over A. Should be equal to C over A. Okay, C now is 3, A is 4. So we have the answer 3 over 4. Okay, in question 4, in question 4, if the sum of roots of this equation is equal to the product of roots, okay, sum of roots is equal to the product of roots. Okay, the information given by the equation is that. Okay, find the value case. Perhaps we can write down the sum of roots and product of roots first, and then we replace them to form equations. Okay, the sum of roots is letter k over 3, letter b over a, and the product of roots is c over a, so 2 over 3. So letter k over 3 equals to 2 over 3. So we have answer k is letter 2. Okay, question 5. If one root of the equation is smaller than the other root, in part A we find the larger root, and in part B we find the value of k. Okay, usually we can assume the two roots are alpha and beta. Okay, but in this present, the information given to us is that one root is smaller than the other root by 4. So the difference between them is 4. Instead, we can assume the larger root as alpha, and the smaller root should be equal to alpha minus 4. So the difference of them is keep as 4. Okay, so at the very beginning of part A, we can suppose that the larger root is alpha. Okay, we have two formulas to choose. Alpha plus beta is h, and alpha beta is equal to 3k. Okay, we should use the first one, because if you use the first one, we have only one unknown, that's alpha. If you use the second unknown, there will be two unknowns, alpha and k. Okay, so the sum of roots is 8. Alpha plus alpha minus 4 is equal to 8. So 2 alpha is 12. Alpha is 6. Okay, so the larger root is 6. In part B, we are going to find the value case. It should be very obvious because we have one more formula to use. The product of wood is equal to 3k. The product of wood is equal to 3k. Okay, so the product of wood should be 6 times 6 minus 4. Okay, alpha, the two woods are alpha and alpha minus 4. The product of them is 3k. Okay, so 12 is 3k and k is equal to 4. The end of this episode. We have learned the very basics of the sum of woods and the product of woods. In the next episode, we will cover some properties of the sum of woods and product of woods, which will be a little bit difficult. Okay, see you next time. Goodbye.